I've played a lot of bad games before, but I've never played one this bad. I mean, Resident Evil 6 was playable and at times actually quite enjoyable. Wrath of Cortex that I spoke about in my last video. Yes, it was flawed and extremely rushed to market, but it's still a solid platformer. Tons of people took issue with the story of Metal Gear Solid 5, but in my opinion, yes, it's not perfect, but this is one of the best open world stealth games going. Spyro Enter the Dragonfly, though, is on a whole other level. I tried to go into this game with an open mind and the intention to finish it properly, but after just over an hour of playing, I couldn't stand it anymore. This is a game that is just so damn lazy and unpolished that I can't believe it ever even made it onto store shelves in the state that it did. This was luckily not my introduction to the Purple Dragon. In fact, while making this video, I'm working on another one about the Reignited trilogy. If Wrath of Cortex was a tale on what happens when you rush a game to market and don't put in the legwork to innovate on the pre-established formula but still making a somewhat enjoyable product at the end, then Enter the Dragonfly is about when a game is rushed, just rehashes the same formula, and is not only not fun, but outright broken. So let's glide through my short playthrough of Enter the Dragonfly, to see perhaps where it all went wrong. So let's put the game into the console and boot it up. We start off on the most awkward set of logos I've ever sat through. It is dead silent and has zero charm to it, not even some music to set the mood. It also took me into a loading screen, which loaded me to another loading screen. We're off to a bad start already, and I've not even hit the main menu yet. I eventually get there, make my save, and we get our grand and epic plot. Wow! What am I even supposed to say to that? So everyone is celebrating after brutally murdering the sorceress in Spyro 3 when Ripto turns up with Crush and Gulp and steals all the dragonflies, and Spyro needs to get them back. My biggest concern this early on is this game looks fucking dreadful. Everything is so flat and lifeless and stiff. None of it looks or feels natural in the slightest. I know I'm talking about a purple dragon and an anthropomorphic cheetah going up against an orange dickhead with a vendetta, which is probably one of the most unnatural scenarios I could be talking about, but the game could at least look more alive. It's meant to be a cartoon, for fuck's sake. Characters just move and articulate with no real reason or intent behind it, and considering that this is an opening cutscene for a cartoony platformer, it's like watching a fucking Metal Gear conversation. The camera doesn't do anything interesting, and the characters just stand around talking. Spyro could have stopped Ripto about 10 times over before he steals the dragonflies, but just fucking lets him. They even steal Sparks, which you think would be a really serious plot point, but that would change up the gameplay formula, and we can't have that, so we find him 2 seconds later with no explanation as to how he escaped from Ripto. So what was the point in even having him be stolen in the first place if he was just gonna come right back? It's redundant and pointless and just pads the runtime of this already too long cutscene. So we get into the hub world, and this game's Achilles heel is on full display. The game is so slow. Just doing anything takes 3 times longer than it should because of the inescapable slowdown. No matter where I went or what I did throughout my playtime, I never saw the game hit its target of 60 FPS, which impacts every aspect of gameplay. Spyro doesn't walk around with any weight, he just kinda glides across the top of the ground. He has a floaty jump and takes about 20 years to get moving. I bet the only thing that still feels good to do is charge, but the supercharge was positively gimped when I tried to use it on the speedway course. It doesn't feel any faster or stronger than just charging normally, it's just got a different animation. Even compared to the original Spyro, this is seriously floaty and imprecise and overall just limp. At least in that game, when you pressed forward, Spyro started fucking moving and didn't accelerate like a pensioner taking off from a green light. Keeping on the topic of the slowdown, I think in part what could have helped would have been scaling down these environments. There's so much empty space here, again similar to Wrath of Cortex, except instead of making the enemies completely pointless, it now makes an already slow game take even longer. Do we really need the environments to be this big, or could we have them scaled down, or hell, use the old tricks of things becoming lower poly the further away they are? It would seem the team got a little carried away with the new hardware and didn't think about how the game actually would play. The thing that baffles me even more is that this would have gone through quality assurance testing. People had to okay this performance. Real people looked at this game and said, yep, this is perfectly fine. This can be released for money to an audience. I tried out the first level and it didn't blow me away. It was a fairly standard Spyro affair and I didn't find it particularly challenging either. Grab some gems, catch dragonflies in the new bubble breath, which is only used for catching dragonflies as far as I could tell, and make it to the end. After I had done this and had played the game for about an hour, I decided I had enough and looked up how to glitch to the final boss because I knew that was possible, as I'd heard some stories about this game before. Some of you may be wondering why I even bothered to grab myself a copy of this game. If I knew it was so broken, then why did I play it? I kinda did it in good faith. I was really hoping that all the conversation surrounding this game was based on a YouTube era of game critique where people were following AVGN more than they were the style of Reykjavik. I thought that even if the game was unpolished and not as good as the other ones, that it might still be, if given the chance, a fine enough Spyro game. But no, I was wrong. This game deserves to burn in fire forever. You know how easy it is to get to the final boss? Well, let's find out together in my new theatrical release, Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Shitty Game. Load into the game and go to this weird metal thing in the first part of the hub world. Stand in a particular spot, roughly around here, and head bash. You'll clip through the floor, and after a loading screen, you're fighting Ripto. The fight isn't anything to write home about either. You charge him and flame breath him to chip away at his shield, then flame him 3 more times, and it's done. My biggest complaint is that there doesn't seem to be any way to avoid this projectile he throws at you. I tried jumping over it, charging away from it, flaming it, but it hit me every time.
Oh, if there's anything I hate more than a dragon, it's a purple dragon.
You know, maybe I'm wrong about Spyro Enter The Dragonfly. Maybe it's actually a deep socio-political commentary on the modern world we live in, and how we divide ourselves over trivial issues like skin colour or sexuality, instead of uniting against the real threats, like the greedy hoarding all the wealth for themselves, and simultaneously destroying the very planet that we live on. Or maybe it's just shit. I want to thank you all for watching this video. This isn't my usual approach to games. If you want something a bit more serious, I've got tons of other stuff on my channel that follows that. But I wanted to try something just a little bit different this time. If you liked it, feel free to let me know in the comments, or hell, even let me know if you didn't. Respectfully, of course. And if you're new here, maybe consider hitting that little subscribe button down there. It really goes a long way to help supporting the channel. But that's been all from me for now, and I'll see you all next time. Good night.